Today we want to talk about deadheading. We get a lot of comments on our videos because we do talk about our deadhead miles, loaded miles. We share that information with you, and it seems like that there's quite a few people that do not understand why sometimes we have to deadhead so far for the loads that we're doing.
People asking, are we getting paid for our deadheads, or why would we deadhead that far, or just not really understanding the concept of deadhead. Deadheading is a necessary evil. First, for those who don't know what deadheading is, let's talk about that. Deadheading is anytime your truck is empty and you're moving to a different area. Simple as that. We are not loaded. We're either moving home, or we are moving to get to a better area to get a load, or we are already dispatched on a load and we're heading to go pick that up. Those are deadhead miles.
The big question is deadhead worth it? Is it worth it to deadhead those miles for a load?
A lot of miles.
A lot of miles, right?
Yeah.
Deadheading 100 miles, that's nothing. When there's a lot of times where we've deadheaded over 600 miles to do a load. And I think that's when a lot of people are like, wow, that's a lot of deadhead miles. But the thing that you have to ask yourself is the money worth it?
One thing I always do, and I do this every load offer I consider, is I look at the total pay of the load. I look at the total miles of the load. How far do I have to deadhead to get it? How far do I have to go to deliver it? Those total miles, you take your rate, what you're being paid, divided by your total miles, which will give you your rate per mile. That number dictates whether we are willing to take that load or not. That is the number one. That is always the number one.
We're looking at as a big picture of all miles paid, what we're getting paid for all miles. Now, it's going to vary from carrier to carrier. Some carriers, they pay you a certain amount of deadhead per mile. When we were with our previous carrier, we got X amount of dollars or cents for those deadhead miles. The carrier we're at now, they don't necessarily pay deadhead miles, it's a total pay. So we have to take that total pay, like Jason said, and figure that out with the loaded and deadhead miles to see if it's going to be worth our while and at the rate we're wanting to make per mile to take that load.
And that's why it's so important to track your numbers and know what your expenses are, know what fuel costs you per mile, know what your truck payment costs you per mile, know what insurance costs you per mile, know what living out on the road costs you per mile, knowing what you pay yourselves costs you per mile. After you have all those numbers added up, you know what it takes to break even. What you absolutely have to make per mile in order to break even. Sometimes we've gone below that break even number, but we've gone way above that break even number too on other runs. So it balances out. You never really want to focus on just that one run that, oh my God, I'm only going to make $1 a mile on this thing. There's no way I would ever do that. Certain, for instances, when you might consider $1 a mile on a load would be, let's say we're sitting in Missoula, Montana. Chances are we are not going to get any loads. And I see a load come across picking up in North Dakota, probably about 600-mile deadhead. After adding, seeing what the rate is, adding up the deadhead, but that load is taking me to Alabama or Georgia. Not a real long run, but all miles, it ends up paying me $1 a mile. Now that's below our break-even rate. That $1 a mile would be below our break-even rate. But it's taking me into an area where I might get a load out of there paying $2 a mile with very little deadhead, or $2.50 a mile. So I took a load for $1 a mile, and sure, that's below my break-even number. I had to get out of Montana anyway. It was either I take a load and at least make $1 all miles, or I deadhead out of there to who knows where.
Nothing.
You're making a guess here of where you might get your next load and not making nothing. Yeah. So sometimes you have to check the numbers. You have to do the math on it. Every single load we accept, we check the numbers. Yep. What is this going to pay us all miles? Am I in an area where I need to take that low of a rate? Am I in a good area, or is it gonna, if I'm in a good area, I'm not gonna take anything below my break-even number. I might take a load at my break-even number as long as it's going to another good area. When you guys see us do 800-mile deadhead, chances are we're either making break-even or above. And
most of the time it's above.
most of the time it's above. I think there's been one time that we lost money on, but we've made it up over time.
Right.
I hear so many drivers complaining about a low rate or having to deadhead, but then I hear them the next week or the week after, oh gosh, I did 4,000 miles. You know, and then a week later I'll hear them complaining about deadheading again or sitting or, you know, whatever the case is. You cannot look at this job at a week by week basis. You have to look at the big picture. What did you make at the end of the year? What did you spend to make that at the end of the year? Was it worth it?
And for us, what our rate is all miles now is well above what we ever did at Panther. So just because we're deadheading a lot of miles, we're still getting paid much better than we did where we were before.
Right. And deadheading's a necessary evil.
Right.
Sometimes you have to do it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about when deadheading's not worth it.
If you're in a good area and it's paying below your break-even number, it's not worth it. I ain't touching it. We would not touch a load like that.
Yeah, if you're in a good freight area where you're sitting, why do you want to deadhead 400, 500, 600 miles to pick up a load when you know you're going to get a load
right
out of the area that you are? You may have to sit a little bit, but you're not going to be sitting for days. So,
and sometimes you'll do it just to help your dispatch out,
or agent,
help your agent or dispatcher out, you know, because it's going to pay off in the future with that business relationship that you're building with that person, helping them out, the hopes that they scratch your back later.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes we've helped out on loads that, you know, paid maybe 10-15 cents above our break-even number. But for the most part, when you're in that good area and you know you picked up many loads in that area before, when you're offered a load 400 or 500 miles away, chances are I'm not going to take it, you know, because we know we'll get something out of that area. Well, I hope this helps kind of explain what deadheading is. When you guys see us doing so much deadhead, trust us, we know what we're doing.
we wouldn't do it if we weren't making money.
Absolutely.
We and anybody in this business is out here to make money. So obviously we're not going to do anything that causes us to lose money.
Right.
So yeah, we definitely are being compensated for that deadhead for sure.
Technically, we're not being paid per deadhead. The whole rate is absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
You know, we would not do it if it
and
wasn't.
We kind of had to change our mindset being here from where we were, because it's a different mindset.
It is.
Of things. But yeah, so hopefully that did help explain it. If you all do have any questions, leave them down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Know the big picture. Look at the big picture. Don't worry about a week by week basis.
Yeah.
Look at the overall big picture, and most of the time, if you're doing things right, you'll be happy.
Absolutely. So thank you guys, as always, for watching and subscribing. And until our next video, peace, love, and expediting.